continuing the SHOT Show special. We have Governor Kristi Noem, who's actually doing a lot for the Second Amendment. Right?
Yeah, we're working on it.
We were just talking about rattlesnakes, so we got to do this one because my father, whenever I'm like quail hunting or something like that, I end up finding a rattlesnake, and she's put it on Instagram, and my dad's almost like, "What are you doing?
Stop it!
You're holding a rattlesnake." He thinks I'm insane.
It is. Well, it's a little insane. So I've done rattlesnake hunting too, and it is insane. It's stupid, but that's part of what makes it fun. Is there's this balance to the outdoors and wildlife, and the more you're out there experiencing it, the more you understand that you have to control every predator, and rattlesnakes are a big part of it.
Well,
so,
I got it. When you do the next South Dakota rattlesnake roundup,
we'll name it the Don Jr. Rattlesnake Roundup. We'll do
he
that.
can be like, you're insane, and we
That's
can also do the prairie dog hunting that we were talking about.
Good. That's good. We both have that reputation, so we'll be fine.
Very nice. We're at SHOT Show.
Yes.
I see you out there working. I've seen the schedule. It's literally a minute by minute. So you're working hard for the people of South Carolina, but also the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of the initiative that you're doing. It sounds really cool.
Well, so here's the deal. Since I've been governor, I have been aggressively defending the Second Amendment. People think of South Dakota as conservative, which it is. Yeah. But remember, I replaced a Republican governor that vetoed twice constitutional carry. Wow. So the first bill that I signed into law was constitutional carry, and we did it in the rotunda and had a huge celebration about we have had a change in guard, and South Dakota is now going to be the biggest defender of our freedoms. And the constitutional amendment, to me, that is the most important is the Second Amendment, because it's the only way that the people can defend themselves from a corrupt government. So I have waived all fees on any permits in South Dakota. I even, as a state, we pay for people's federal background checks, so it doesn't cost them a penny to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And then we've been aggressively going out there and fighting a lot of these lawsuits and illegal activities that have come out of the federal government against our gun and ammunition industries. So
yeah, and I think if people have been paying attention, you realize just how important it is. When you see the crime that's coming with a lot of obviously the border crisis and the fentanyl crisis and all that. I mean, they're not going to be there to defend you. And in some of these places, I see the stats I'm seeing from the guys. 30-40% of the gun purchases made in the last 24 months, first-time gun buyers.
Yes, absolutely.
They realize it too.
My mom, she's 76 years old. And I found out when I went home last weekend that she went and got a pistol, asked for one for Christmas, but she went and took a full instructional course, and she took my sister and several nieces without me even knowing about it. They all went and got trained, and it was all just because they thought, you know what? We're not going to depend on anybody anymore. We are literally on our own with this White House and the way that it sits today.
It's crazy. After the Israel attack, when a lot of my friends from New York and real estate guys, and a lot of my friends, Democrat, Jewish guys, hey Donna, what's the AR-15? I'm like, oh really?
Yeah.
Oh now.
Let me tell you.
Now you're calling me after 25 years of giving me a hard time. Now you're in it. But hey, welcome aboard.
Yeah, and that's what we're thrilled about is that people are paying attention. So if we are willing to go out there and be aggressively educational about it, boy, we can turn this whole country around. What I have right now going on in South Dakota is that I see the White House specifically punishing me in South Dakota.
Well, they tried actually removing some funding or putting up roadblocks to funding that was already agreed upon about a range that you're building that sounds like a spectacular facility.
We're building a world-class shooting complex. It is going to be, short range clay shooting, shotgun ranges, long range target shooting, built so that we can host national and international competitions, but also start programs and facilitate ones in our state that are training our youth and making sure that everybody's well equipped and building out a lot of our heritage and passing that on to the next generation. But it was always a partnership. Before we even broke ground, that it was going to be partially state dollars that we funded and I dedicated, partially private industry, because everything we do is a private-public partnership, and then we were going to use federal dollars to use as well that Fish and Wildlife and Interior had signed off on, fully approved. The financing package was complete, and then we found out a week before we broke ground that they changed their minds. They've decided that they will no longer allow those dollars to be qualified, and it is just specifically to go after rifle ranges. It's specifically to go after a Second Amendment, and me personally. But so basically my attitude has been, screw you. We will build it, and we're going to build it bigger, and we're going to do it without you. So,
well, I see you out there talking with a lot of sort of the private companies that are actually going to fund this, and that's what's sort of cool about SHOT. I mean, obviously it's a business, but people do give back. I always talk about for shooting, you need that mentor, you need that ability, and whether it's hunting or shooting, you see that on the federal level. Let's introduce wolves to reduce the herd so that people don't have success, so that you end hunting.
That's true.
Let's make getting ammunition really difficult. We put you through loopholes. Let's go after. I see this a lot. I've heard this comment a lot. Sort of the attack on the individual FFL dealers.
Yes,
there was a procedural error in your thing. We're taking away your license. That's your, $1 million family business just gone.
Yeah.
These are these people's livelihoods, and they're toying with it like you wouldn't believe.
I had a little lady in her 80s that had been a firearms dealer for generations. Her family had been, and they went after her. And I had to specifically and personally step up, help her with her legal defenses, and team just coordinating with her in order for them not to send this little old 80-year-old woman to jail. Just because they wanted to persecute her. And
they won't go after the big guys because they know the big guys have the money to fund it. But the little guy, you could actually be right, but it doesn't matter because you can't withstand.
Well, your father has proven that they'll go after the big guys too. I guess they'll do whatever they want to do. But
do a little bit of both.
But it's a new time in this country. My hope is that I'm a mom and a grandma. It's weird for someone that I think that is that demographic to be this out there in front defending the Second Amendment, but it's a part of my life. I grew up that way. Every family vacation was a hunting trip. It was time spent with my dad and my family where we made memories, and it made me better informed about conservation, about wildlife. And
when I'm lucky enough to draw that West River tag, I spend a lot of time in South Dakota.
Me too.
So we have a couple of buddies that literally have just old family ranch, and they always invite us out. And when I'm lucky enough to draw that
I'd love
tag,
to say I can pull some strings, but I don't know if I can.
Oh, by the way, if I got the governor's tag,
I
want to call you about the sheep one. Don't worry about the deer. That'll put in for. But the sheep one, that gets a little crazy.
That one. I'll call you. We'll do that.
So one more thing, because I see when you're out here working, I saw yesterday with Sarah Sanders, governor down in Arkansas, and I saw she was the number 3 state for pro-gun, bringing in businesses. Are you actually also out there recruiting some of these companies to come to South Dakota to bring that business? And doing, so what do you do for them to make that attractive?
Everything.
Beyond the freedom.
So we have no income taxes, no personal property taxes. The only tax we have in our state is a 4.2% sales tax. And we made the largest tax cut in South Dakota history last year is what I got passed through our state legislature. With that, we are still with these companies telling them we'll build buildings for you, we'll give you land, I will train your workforce for the first 2 years of any training they need to have the technical skills to do the manufacturing that you need, the gunsmithing you need, whatever it takes, we will do that for you. In South Dakota, you will not only, for us, giving them millions of dollars to come to our state is a different situation because we're not going to tax you like many of these other states are going to do. But I have land and assets. I know we have land and assets, and we are not going to ever be a state that will come after you with regulatory provisions that'll impact you or hurt you. That we are friendly and we're going to promote you and be proud of you. And we do it through all of our events, the way we talk. I started a habitat program as soon as I became governor, put in a conservation program the first time ever in the state on working lands. We have more public access areas than we've ever had in the history of our state. Landowners that are coming to the table in a new way to do it, and started a predator bounty program again, which was hugely controversial.
Which is ridiculous. But it's always the people who know nothing about it. They bring that stuff to D.C.
Oh my gosh,
so they can fight it with heartstrings, not with logic, reason, or actual on the ground experience.
PETA was horrible. I mean, just awful. But we're paying $10 a tail for.
Is that people eating tasty animals?
I think it is. Yes, quite often.
Sure,
on a daily basis. So it's amazing to me how if we don't do these things and don't stay out in front and what I've had other governors tell me, Donnie, is that they say, well, Kristi, when you do this stuff, when you are so out there, like even during COVID, when you didn't shut down your state, when you didn't mandate stuff, it gave us cover. Honestly, you were the crazy one.
You gave them cover, but they still did the other things. I'm like, guys, we need a little reciprocity.
You were the crazy one. You were the one that was doing this, and we've decided, okay, well, we can relax our mandates a little bit more. We can do a little bit more freedom because they were coming after you so hard. So if I got to do that in this area, I will.
That's great.
We'll do it. I'll give people cover. We've been beaten up enough that we realize what they'll do to destroy you. But I want to, at the end of my life, be able to say I lived a life of significance. I lost my dad at 49 years old. As far as I'm concerned, I've already been gifted more days than he got. And I want to, when I'm done, just be able to say I actually did something that mattered. And so there's no other place to do that with more patriots than here at SHOT Show, and to make sure we've got a plan to actually win.
Listen, you're doing it every day. We're just, again, honored to have you in the fight out there doing it. So,
thank you.
Guys, if you're looking, definitely check out South Dakota for firearms, for shooting, for hunting. Just an incredible state, and you're doing an awesome job.
I'll go with you. Mandatory. You have to take the governor.
Sounds good.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great seeing
You're
you.
awesome.